Okay. Now it's working. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
that's okay.
I am Angela Kenbok, and this is my social work interviewing paper for my interviewing skills class with Dr. Robinson in spring of 2019. I have Ken with me, Ken Johnson from Greenbrier Outpatient Facility in Wexford, Pennsylvania, who I will be interviewing for this project. So thank you, Ken, for doing this for me. Would you start by telling us what degree you have, what college you graduated from, and any type of minors or certifications that you have?
I graduated from the University of Kentucky with a bachelor in social work. I have a minor in psychology, and I've been in the field for 15 years, so there's continuing education credits, but I don't have any sort of license or extra certificate.
Perfect. And what is your official job description here at Greenbrier?
Here at Greenbrier, they call us chemical dependency therapists. I run the PHP program, which means that I run the full day partial hospitalization program.
And what are some tasks related for your daily job? So things that you do, during the day with the clients here, and then anything else documentation wise and stuff like that.
Our program is a 6-hour program. When I'm not in group for those hours, I'm in here doing insurance calls to keep clients covered with their insurance. I'm doing daily paperwork as far as group notes, DAP notes, individual sessions. That's also notations. Basically administrative stuff behind the scenes when I'm not in group.
Gotcha. And how did you become to choose social work as your field, but not only social work, but specializing with substance abuse?
I've always had a desire to help people. I'm not really for sure, I can't give you an answer on why I chose the route for social work, but through my life experience, what I've went through as far as my own chemical dependency problem, I chose to come into the drug and alcohol field.
Perfect, thank you. And then to take that a little bit further,
Sure.
How did you choose Greenbrier?
I think for any therapist starting out, you have a time period where you're switching jobs. I think I switched jobs 3 or 4 times before I found Greenbrier, and it was a really good fit. I like the fact that I'm not micromanaged here. I run groups the way that
that you want to.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked in the inpatient side of things?
I have never worked in inpatient. All my experience has been in outpatient. The only thing that was close, I worked with juveniles early on, and it was a lockdown facility for juveniles, but that was about 2 years of experience. But other than that, I've never been inpatient.
Gotcha. And can you explain a little bit on the different roles or jobs that are available through Greenbrier as an outpatient facility? So there's the lead therapist. I know there's some floating therapists.
We have floating therapists. We have some clients that stay involved. Really not supposed to call them volunteers because we don't do that here. But there's clients that do some help with things that we do here weekly. We have marketers. There's marketers here that work for Greenbrier. We have a publications person. Evaluators. We have evaluators as well.
Okay. And how between so you have a bachelor's in social work.
Yes.
So then when it comes to the different pays for each position, does that different? I mean, is it different if you have a master's or a bachelor's, and if you're willing to share where you start out at?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that may go back to why I'm here.
Right.
Because the pay scale here is rather it's pretty good for someone that, in my case, I didn't take my education further,
Right,
but I
right.
had the experience, and I'm probably coming in a pay scale for a master's level
Gotcha.
therapist.
Yeah, you don't see that at many type of.
No, you don't.
Yeah, so
You
that's
do not.
great.
Yeah.
Um, Now, for a little bit of the cons of the job, what are
Sure.
some problems that you encounter while doing your job? So it could be on the administrative side, or
Yeah.
it could be, like insurance and whatnot, or working with certain clients or something like that.
As the group number expands and goes up, the paperwork is a huge issue.
Yeah,
If
I bet.
I guess I could call it an issue. Um, Dealing with insurance companies, especially early on when I first started this position, that was very difficult. Not knowing what to say,
Hmm.
what to do as far as what they. Different insurance companies want to hear different things to continue to fund the client.
Clients, yeah.
So navigating that's kind of difficult, and it's just really the time spent on administration sometimes takes away from the individual help that I can give clients. So I would say that would be a pretty big con as far
Yeah.
as the job is concerned.
What do you like and what do you dislike about your job as a social worker? So
Mm-hmm.
not so much as the chemical dependency therapist, but as a social worker in general.
I really love the fact that at any point in time, being a social worker, if I don't want to work in substance abuse, there's other areas that I can get into.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really I guess versatile field to be in. There's a lot of different areas that I can get into rather than just be a drug and alcohol therapist.
Is there anything you dislike about working in substance abuse, or do you enjoy it enough that you don't
I
have?
really do enjoy it, but I will have to be very honest. There's not a lot of success with the clients.
Right.
You know, that disheartening at times. There's people that you want to see really make it. And there's people that maintain for a period of time, and then there's a lot of relapsing in drug and alcohol, and it's really difficult to keep your own morale up
Right.
to continue to do the job. You feel like you're spinning your wheels a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
So it's safe to say that you dislike the emotional
Yeah.
ties that come along with it.
Yes, yes. At times, I'll
Yeah,
say
at
that
times.
at times, it can be discouraging.
Right.
Yeah.
What other professionals do you work with? So it kind of goes back on the other roles throughout Greenbrier, but I know that you obviously have to discuss how the day went with maybe the evening therapist and
Yeah.
vice versa. And
I have a supervisor I report to. I have to keep him up on what's going on with my clients and what's going on with my groups and things of that nature. We try to, the one thing I do like about Greenbrier, we try to build relationships with individual therapists in the area for referral sources.
oh, okay.
You know, outside referral sources. Some of the doctors in the area I've come in contact with, trying to build relationships with them, especially with the MAT coming into play with drug and alcohol treatment. We link up with doctors to administer Vivitrol shots,
Okay.
things of that nature.
So just to be clear for those who
Yeah.
might not know, can you explain what MAT is?
Medically assisted treatment.
Thank you.
So that would be, we do not use Suboxone nor methadone, but we do use Vivitrol because it's not psychoactive
Gotcha.
whatsoever.
And what about, do you ever do groups together? So you and the evening therapist or any of the floating therapists that come around?
That's a great question. I tend to like to co-facilitate with the floating therapist.
Yeah.
Just to, because usually they're newer counselors, newer therapists in the field, and I like to work with. I like to work with them. Sometimes we do co-facilitate with the evening therapist, but that doesn't happen as often.
Right. If you were to start your career over again, do you think you'd still choose social work in general, or would you go maybe more towards the psychology aspect, or just something completely different?
I think I would definitely go the social work route again. I'm not for sure if I would do drug and alcohol, possibly, but there's other clientele that I would definitely work with as far as social work is concerned.
Gotcha. Um, so
I
then,
really enjoyed working with juveniles.
okay, so that was what my next question would be. Is there a certain population or profession that you?
I really liked working with adolescents and juveniles. That was pretty rewarding. I enjoyed working with younger people.
So more of like maybe like a caseworker or like
Yeah,
what type? If you weren't doing substance abuse per
Yeah.
se, so like not inpatient or outpatient with the adolescents, but
that's another great question. At-risk youth.
okay,
Maybe forensic charges, things of that nature. Low income children trying to get placed.
yeah. I just did a observation hours right up at Bethany,
Yeah.
like right up the street from here, that post adoption agency, and it was neat to work with the
Yeah.
teenagers there.
My internship years ago, I worked with the Ronald McDonald House,
Oh,
and
that's
that
right.
was really rewarding and gave me a lot of experience. They do a lot of grief. It's grief counseling at the Ronald
Okay.
McDonald House. They provide free board for parents that have terminally ill children.
Okay.
So that was really refreshing. So you did grief counseling with the parents.
I give you credit for wanting to work with adolescents because I haven't gotten quite that far yet.
It taught me a lot of
Yeah.
patience, and I use it with the adults now.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good quality. Yeah. What are some major social issues serving in the substance abuse population? So, like, with that, you could elaborate maybe on like the epidemics going on, or maybe different age groups. Like, what do you kind of see here at Greenbrier as one of the biggest?
Here at Greenbrier, in this location, definitely probably 20 somethings to 30 somethings with the opioid epidemic. The last probably 3 or 4 years, this has been the most clients that I've lost to overdoses and dying from an overdose.
From the
the opioid, or we should really say the fentanyl crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
Besides the epidemics, did you notice any other type of social issues, or does it kind of come in waves? So, like, the fentanyl and alcohol, like.
We're actually, that's a great question, because right now we're really trying to figure out why we're getting so many more alcoholics. There's
I
more
have noticed it.
alcoholics in my groups now than
Like heroin
or right. So we're not for sure if it's the fact that people are actually afraid to use the heroin because of fentanyl, and they're switching substances, and or the medically managed treatment, Suboxone.
That's quick for them to
methadone.
get their hands on too.
We've been thinking about that too. Maybe they're going to that type of treatment rather than coming to an abstinence based.
That's true. Gotcha. What type of social work skills do you apply to your daily routine here at Greenbrier? So, like, you can either refer to like the NSAW with respecting the confidentiality.
Yeah.
or even just in general, what do you think that you consistently apply?
Most definitely in this field, confidentiality is huge.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if this is just for social work. I would say so. They kind of call us bleeding hearts or people that want to save the world.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm a very compassionate therapist, and I really truly believe that treatment should be delivered in a compassionate way rather than a punitive way, and I try to do that on a daily basis as far as working with my clients.
Thank you. What type of so this is for my interviewing skills class.
Yeah.
This specific paper. So what type of interviewing skills do you think you use, like doing one-on-one
Motivational interviewing is really the go-to tool that I use. Very reflective interviewing, throwing back their statements to make sure that I'm getting what they're trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think some interviewing skills are more effective than others in this particular field, or like working with the vulnerable or at risk versus like substance abuse, and like is there specific, because I know at least like clients here in the substance abuse field can be very manipulative
Yeah.
and not so honest versus like at risk or vulnerable.
Yeah.
So is there any specific besides motivational interviewing that you look out for or apply?
Yeah. That is a big struggle with them being honest. So I guess asking questions several different ways.
Yeah.
to make sure that you're getting
the same story.
The same story, and really just actually verbalizing that you feel like they're not totally being honest with you, and they're not really being forthcoming with some of their information.
Right.
Just letting them know that.
Yeah. Well, at least with like the substance abuse, you can like kind of apply the 12 steps into the individual therapy to get them to where like somewhere else you don't have that program to.
Exactly. And in this field, drug screens are really, really important too, and they're a tool that we use as well.
Yeah. A couple questions left.
Okay.
And what qualities do you think an individual needs to be successful in this, in social work in general, but then more specifically in substance abuse?
Most definitely in substance abuse, and I think for any therapist, self-care is very, very important. You're taking in a lot of different negative emotions and energies, and if you're not keeping yourself up, it can definitely. And there's been times that I didn't take care of myself the way that I should, and I've really felt that.
Yeah.
And it can really, really start to affect your job and your mental state and your spirituality. And, you have to be very, very careful and taking care of yourself, for sure.
Thank you. And last, do you have any advice for somebody entering this type of field? So again, social work and substance abuse. What would your biggest pieces of advice be?
I would say definitely find a good agency that had very good supervision. I think that's something that's lacking in our field, and especially in especially in drug and alcohol. We have great supervisors, but supervision early on is not something that happens. They kind of it's kind of throwing you to the fire type of thing.
I can see it. I mean, just with it being in the inpatient right now, I'm just winging it basically.
Exactly, and there's not a lot of hands-on supervision. I think that's something that if you can find an agency that's doing that, or if you're interning, finding an agency that does that, I think that would be really beneficial because from the insurance, like that's something that you just learn as you go.
Yeah.
Nobody really explains it to you. Group dynamic, some of the things that you're gonna come up against as far as tough clients are concerned. All that stuff is pretty much learned on the job.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think we covered everything that I needed to ask you, so I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you. Thank you.